Hello, Deepika.
Hello, sir.
How are you doing?
All good. How are you?
Good, good. All set? All set
Yes,
for
sir.
your
All set.
webinar? Lovely.
Absolutely.
Let
Yeah.
me see how many attendees are there. They're still coming in. The people who are joining in. And Navneel is here. Hello, Navneel. How are you doing? I hope all well. Thank you for joining in. There are other people also joining in. Do say hello on the chat so that we know that it's not a bot. Of course, it's not a bot. It's there are physical people who are arriving here, and I'm so happy to see. Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Deepika's Forest Therapy webinar. Hello, Pari. How are you doing? Mahendra, welcome, welcome, Mahendra, my friend. All okay, I hope. Nishant is, Deepika, did you ever attend Nishant's blogging webinar? And the other one was to do with storytelling.
I
And
think I've attended. Yes.
he's one of the top 100 wildlife bloggers.
Wow.
Anushri, welcome. Shalini, welcome, welcome. Dr. Geeta Mathur, that's fantastic. We've got so many people joining in. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And let's meet Deepika, the expert. The person who has dedicated her life to learning and teaching all about forests, all about the power of forest. And I'm going to give all tuta puta introduction of hers because I have nothing in writing. But before I introduce, let me tell you about my introduction. It's Ratawa. It's like a I will just rattle it out. I'm Mohit Agarwal. I'm an experiential ecotourism specialist. I'm the founder of Asian Adventures, which is a 26-year-old company, travel company. It's the largest bird watching company of India. I'm on a large mission to save elephants for their corridors. With Wildlife Trust of India, I'm also um, on a mission to save the ancient Himalayan shrines, free the Himalayas of plastic waste, and we're also helping small NGOs. So this is a part of my life goal to help people and to be with people as strong as Deepika, who are doing everything for the cause of nature. What she's trying to do is something really unique. What she's trying to do is put nature in a package form in your pocket for you to take home and to be with forever, no cost. And if you have that power in your pocket, you will just heal yourself. You'll never be ill because you'll understand that you're a mere tiny speck in this entire cosmos. And we don't have to worry about ourselves because nature is going to do everything that we require for ourselves. Everything is giving us. It's giving us the air that we breathe, it's giving us the food that we eat, it's giving us the peace that we want, and it's giving us the environment that we all crave for. But it's just that as humans, we want to we want to experience bondage. So we live in concrete. We'll put some fetters around our legs. We will say, okay, cage us. We want to see what that discomfort is. We want to see what that unhappiness is. Because somewhere down the line, we also know that happiness is the derivative of your unhappiness. So that's fine. That's no problem. I have to tell you that Deepika is a trained forest therapy expert from Ireland. She's going to tell you more about herself. And when she came back from Ireland a few years ago, and she started to talk about tree hugging, and I'm a great follower and believers of tantrics. And she and I went to a tantric. So that tantric is a friend of mine. He's also some sort of mentor for me. So we went, and then she said, "Look, this is how I hug a tree." And he says, "Wow, that's fantastic." And he was ready. He said, "But try and put your back to the tree because if you try and put your back to a tree and put your hands back and try and hug the tree with the, with your back, then what will happen is that it'll open up your chakras, right? The people who don't understand chakras and things like that, look, this is a story. So just take it as a story. Don't worry too much about the technical part, that which chakra is going to work for you and, at what RPM, they don't work like that. So anyway, so I said, well, I don't know about my back sticking to the tree. I want I want to hug a tree properly. So during this lockdown, I started to walk in the park right behind my house, and I started to hug a tree regularly, which was a laburnum tree, Amalthas, and there are long flowers hanging from each branch, and I loved him. I just loved him because I noticed each and every. Of course, there were other trees with Amalthas trees, but this was my favorite. And it's a youngish tree, full of flowers, and I started to talk to him. And I started to call him Amu, and my son lives about 20 minutes away from me with my wife. So I couldn't meet him then. So I said, well, I've got a son here, so a human wants connection. So I said, okay, fine, you're my son. And I started to talk to him and I started to hug him. And every time I hugged him, Deepika, I emptied myself out and I walked home like a zombie. There was nothing in me. So there was no emotion, nothing. And there was some sort of happiness, that bliss within that would happen. It happened this evening as well. So for me, that tree is not just a tree. It's like how you treat humans. That's what it is, right? Anyway, I don't want to get carried away with this spiritual emotion of mine. Over to you, Deepika. Go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. And good evening, everyone. And I'm so glad that you took the time to come here and join the Forest Therapy webinar to understand what forest bathing is all about. And I hope it will bring, add some more meaning to the idea of nature connections. To begin with, I would like to ask you, wouldn't you agree the state of our mind reflects our day-to-day lives? We all need to see more of the environment, especially now when we've gone through the lockdown and people have been confined indoors, and studies have shown that spending more time in the great outdoors can improve our well-being. The mere presence of plants in our environment leads us to record less stress and less anxiety. And I'm sure all of y'all would agree to that. So hi everybody, I'm Deepika Sinha. I'm currently based here in Noida. I'm a daughter, a wife, and a mother to a 10-year-old nature lover. I'm a professional forest bathing guide, and I assist folks like yourselves around Delhi NCR, to go out for forest bathing walks. And I also take people out to the Himalayas for a Himalayan forest bathing retreat. So that's introduction about myself. And before we get into the webinar, I would like to let you know that I will be giving away at the end of it a free beginner's guide, which I just developed. It's a day-wise guide for you to develop and begin with your nature connections, day-wise, slowly, and it will really bring a lot of benefits for you, and you will really, find deep connections. These moments in nature would be time for self-reflection and bring mindfulness, and it's going to be very meaningful if you could follow that as well. And so let's start. So I hope everyone's able to see my screen. We are going to now speak about awakening your senses. So forest bathing, what it is a Japanese concept. Yes, sir?
We can't see your slideshow.
Okay.
You haven't started it. Yeah, great.
Okay. So it's awakening your senses. Our five senses in nature is the most simplest and the most beautiful way to actually, the first step perhaps, to begin the journey towards nature connections. And this concept, basically, it is a Japanese concept. History says that forest bathing is also called Shinrin Yoku. You will now that you are understanding forest bathing, you'll also hear the term Shinrin Yoku, and this means Shinrin is forest and Yoku means bathing. It's a Japanese term, and it's a scientifically proven approach to nature connection. It's a priceless journey, of course, and for those who can make this connection with nature, and each and every one of us can, because after all, we are all natural beings. It's in our DNA. It is for anyone who's looking for to ground themselves from those cluttered thoughts, and if you're unable to function at your best potential, if you feel that there's something missing, and you would really want to achieve a great benefit from this program, then you can follow this few steps which we'll be speaking about through this webinar, and it will take you through this very simple and therapeutic act of spending time in the forest, and it will just help you to relax, relieve your stress, be stress-free, detox from the digital gadgets. And so I invite you to follow the next few points that I will be taking you through. And it's so simple, you will not forget it, and you will get great benefits from it. So scientifically proven forest bathing positively creates calming neuropsychological effects through changes in the nervous system. Of course, if you're standing in a beautiful landscape, in front of you, a beach or the hills or meadows, instantly we feel like it's a feeling of pleasure and bliss and relaxation. So a lot of science research has taken place about it and how the human mind and body behaves in nature, and it is hence it is scientifically proven that it's all positive. Spending time in nature has a lot of positive effects for the whole human mind, body, and soul. Now walking with a forest bathing guide, you might understand that, you might already be doing the act of forest bathing in your own way. You perhaps would be, going out for your morning walks. But if you have a guide with you, I put in this slide here because in my last webinar, we had a question about how would it be different walking with a guide? Why can't I do it by myself? Hence, I want to explain forest bathing focuses on really slowing down and engaging your senses with the natural world. So if you're doing it by yourself, there are chances of being carried away. And again, your thoughts come into play and you kind of get, you're not really slowing down. As a guide, we set a series of invitations, and these invitations are designed in a way which will help you to connect with nature deeper. So that's where the guide, it's very nice to take a walk by yourself, but when you're with a guide in a forest bathing session, the guide will give out these set of activities for you, nature-based activities, using your five senses and the five elements, which will really make the difference of walking with a guide as opposed to walking by yourself in nature, which also is great. But walking with a guide makes the connection with nature more meaningful and deeper. Benefits of forest bathing, so many. It just lifts depression, improves energy, reduces fatigue. People have said they sleep better. It helps with insomnia. It boosts the immune system. You have deeper and clearer intuition, more clarity and focus. It lowers your stress, and it really it opens all your senses, and it's like walking. It's like forest bathing is the bridge. It's a bridge between you and the natural world. So that's what it is. Now I want to take you through. I'll be sending out a poll, so if you can just What do you understand by the term forest bathing? I hope everyone was able to see the poll which I sent out right now. To go deeper into what forest bathing is all about, it is a sensory experience. It's not a hike or running or a mountain climbing. It's not like your regular walks in nature where you are going out for your morning walk or a walk on the beach. It is more about being present and taking in the moment to appreciate your surroundings with your five senses. For example, listen to the sounds around you, the twittering birds, rustling the bush or the trickling streams around you. Breathe in clean air, notice the scents and aromas in nature. Soak in the sights of textured ground and the shapes of leaves, the different textures and shapes. It's amazing. Touch the soft green moss or carpets, the shaded stones, or feel the earth below your feet. And let the stillness around you influence your state of mind and make you forget the constant motion of the city. So that is what forest bathing is about. It is good for both physical and mental well-being. It is proven to reduce stress hormone production. And you'll agree that it improves the feelings of happiness and it frees up your creativity as well as, it boosts your immune system. It lowers your heart rate. Imagine for a second, and you're in a happy place, go back. If you can just close your eyes and, imagine maybe you're surrounded by you're in a beach and the crashing waves, the sound of the waves and the warm sand beneath your feet. Or perhaps you're in a forest and you can hear the sound of a stream nearby, and then just feel the silence, the stillness and the peace that you get in nature. When you're in nature, you're away from the constant beeps and buzz of the cell phone and the computers and the television. And, there's a reason an escape to the woods in real life is so restorative. Forest bathing may just be the thing if you can adopt it as a wellness routine. On the weekends, why not go out to the park and just indulge your five senses and de-stress? And just doing that, or perhaps 20 minutes during the day, if you could just step out into a park near you or a garden, sit out there and just engage the five senses and, be present and be there with all your the five senses, engaging them and be present and just let everything slow down. It really helps. So the biophilia hypothesis suggests that humans possess an innate tendency to seek connections with nature and other forms of life. Biophilic experience can reduce stress, improve cognitive function, and enhance mood and creativity. These and other outcomes can increase health and well-being as well as productivity. So this American scientist, E.O. Wilson, had written about how nature is in our DNA and how it really helps us connect. We are natural beings, and that's the reason why we have this connection with nature. And he spoke about how, he gave examples of how, I'm sorry. So, so basically he spoke about the human, how we are drawn towards nature. If, for example, if I were to give you a poster of a beautiful scenery, and beside it, if I give you a poster of a city landscape, and if you could see that landscape, you know that you're going to be drawn to a poster of nature. Many hospitals around have seen and witnessed that patients whose beds were placed beside a window which had a nice landscape or a scenery towards nature were healing faster than those patients who were in a room where there was no access
I think there's a problem with the internet. So please stay on, and let me restart the system. Please give me a minute, and we'll get back in no time. I will reboot the system, and we will be back. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, just type M, so I know that you all can hear me. Okay. So Pari says she can hear me. I want to know from the participants if they can hear me. Yes, okay. So we will wait for Deepika to come back, and which means that there's an issue at Deepika's end, and she'll be back in no time. Please be patient. Yeah, so please don't leave, because she said that she'll be back in no time. She's trying to log back in. This is what digital world is all about. It's, we need to be more forgiving than what it is. And right now we are at the mercy of something called internet. And let's make use of it while it's there. So friends, I was telling you about my walk this evening, and I met this fellow friend of mine, Dwaipan. He teaches football to kids in the park. And there was this little girl, who's part of the football team, the children who play in the park. And she's the only girl in the football team, and she's really fast, and she's the best. And she's the naughtiest of all. So I met this girl, and I said, look, you're a naughty little girl, but not naughty as naughty, but naughty though. So she says, why do you say that? I said, because I was hugging Ammu the other day, and you went around and you said, "Dekho, ye aadmi susu kar raha hai." So so this was our little conversation, and we started off, and then she told me, she said, "Why do you do it?" I said, because it's one experience which I can't make you understand. For me, it's a living thing. Anything is a living thing. So that's my experience with the kids. And then they were intrigued, and they said, "Will you tell us more about it?" I said, "Yes, I will." So then Deepika and I thought we'll start a bird watching club in our park, and we'll get every kid started with bird watching. Oh, our star is back. Over to you, Deepika. I was keeping
Yes,
people entertained.
I don't know. I lost my connection. Sorry. So so I was speaking about. Sorry for that, people. I'm just going to start with one poll. Okay. So today I'm going to speak about 4 main things which I have designed for this webinar, that is grounding, mindfulness, and the fight insights, and digital detox. Mindfulness, what is that? I'm sure every one of us has heard of this term mindfulness, and there are meditations, there are various practices which people are doing. The practice of mindfulness in the midst of nature, I believe, is said to boost people suffering from physical ailments such as blood pressure, anxiety, depression, and it has breath works. Is an easy way to make a change in the state of the body, and it helps us get out of that fight and flight and stay in a very relaxed and balanced state of mind. So the practice of mindfulness, again, engaging the senses, which is feeling, the tactile sensations, feeling what is around us, feeling in nature, feeling different textures, listening to different sounds, the sense of sound, listening to sounds near us, far from us, and just being present, listening to and smelling the different aromas, even seeing, each and everything in a very mindful manner gets you connected and be present in the now. So this practice of mindfulness is great in nature, and even into our day-to-day lives, whenever there are anxious moments, just practicing mindfulness and just getting grounded with it, connecting with all the five senses, whether it's even if you're indoors, kind of helps us be more connected. Grounding is a very interesting study, and there's a lot of research still happening on the effects of grounding. It's realigning your electrical energy by reconnecting to the earth. So the practice of grounding, there are many ways one can practice, because the earth is like a gigantic battery. It contains natural, subtle electric charge. And, like grounding or earthing, as many people call it, is one such natural healing technique which helps us reconnect with that potential negative and cast out the negative energies. So there are a lot of free radicals. The earth is charged with negative ions. And when we are disconnected from nature, our body gets charged with positive ions. So when we ground ourselves, whether it be by hugging a tree or by taking a swim in the ocean or a river, or dipping our feet, even laying in the grass or sitting, or walking barefoot. So all these activities helps us connect with the Earth's the electromagnetic field and the electric waves, the negative ions which we get from the earth. It helps with inflammation. It helps people with pain and sleep disorders. People have said that, they have seen a lot of benefits with grounding. It improves your mood and improves wound healing, improves your immunity, reduces inflammation, and even helps jet lag. So people who are traveling, who will be traveling soon, you should try just walking barefoot or laying down on the grass or putting your feet on the grass, and it really helps, because again, it says here, you're a bioelectrical being living on an electrical planet. Your body operates electrically, and scientific research over more than a decade indicates that your body can be protected and helped, and that you feel better when you're grounded. So this I've taken out by Deepak Chopra Foundation website, which I was doing some research on explaining grounding. And so that is about grounding. There has been more studies. So here there is a study where a woman, she was having chronic pain, and a test was taken, her infrared rays images here, the thermography, and it shows that the picture which has the red patches is the time when she was in chronic pain. And then, 4 weeks later, 80% she had reduced pain, and there was no sleep interference, and 70% reduction in the morning stiffness. And by 8 weeks, she said the pain was gone. Isn't that amazing? If just connection to earth can do so much to a human body. So it's just, it just shows how important it is to ground ourselves. And unfortunately, I think it is when the invention of shoes happened, or the sole, when we are wearing slippers and shoes and we hardly walk barefoot anymore, as opposed to when our ancestors were actually, walking barefoot, and they had connection to the earth. Today, even for gardening, we use our gloves. We wear gloves to garden, and we kind of cut away every connection to the earth as possible. So it's a very therapeutic technique, and all of you should try the grounding. It kind of reconnects you to the earth, gets you centered, you feel balanced and less tense and less stressed. And when you're not in touch with the earth, it kind of you'll see even dogs and animals, you'll see animals also ground themselves. You see them rolling around on the earth and the grass, and putting mud on themselves. Of course they do. Many animals do it for cleaning themselves. But yeah, that's their way of doing grounding, because they're connected to the earth and they are more mindful. So even we as humans, we must connect and find ways to connect with the earth. There's a grounding exercise, very interesting and very effective. So every time you feel kind of anxious and you have a panic attack, all you need to do is you can simply go through, it's called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding. So it's simply whenever you feel a little anxious and you just want to ground yourself, step out in nature and just identify 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel, that is a tactile sensation, 3 things you hear, and 2 things to smell, and 1 thing to taste. So it's this very simple act of, to just quickly ground ourselves and benefit from it. So this is a good one. We can do it in office, before a presentation. You can do it, before you are meeting someone and you're feeling anxious about the meeting. So this is a lovely one, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grounding. Now there is one study. This is the Taoists have been following Zhang Zhuang. It's a dynamic form of standing meditation, as the image in front of you suggests. So when a person is standing in a tree position, so it's basically a very relaxed position, and it just can be plain standing with the knees slightly bent, So and just following your breath. So what it does, if there is one thing that you can increase your energy and your mental clarity in under 10 minutes, this is it. The method is a dynamic form of standing meditation. And it is from the ancient, from ancient China, and the people who are following Taoism, they do this a lot, and this is great for eliminating those chronic pains, sitting on the laptop or the computers, our postures. So this is great for that as well, because you get this time to kind of straighten out, and the physical energy and mental alertness that this simple practice brings, it really connects you. You can just stand and just focus on your breathing, So one image here shows a person has so much going on his mind, his energy, his scattered thoughts, it's all over the place. And when you focus the mind, you focus the chi, that chi is prana, and just breathe and you connect to the earth. Maybe if you could do it barefoot, it's even amazing, and just stand. Maybe when you're hugging a tree, you can just practice this. And it really helps to develop and improve, your thoughts, and get yourself more in the present moment and more stable, and helps you to, kind of reflect and see your thoughts getting all together in alignment. So,
Are you getting stuck?
Yes, I think so. I was trying to do a poll. Okay, start poll. Okay, I got it back. There's a poll here. It says, do you think hugging trees is good for your health? It's supposed to be think. I mistyped as thing. What do you think?
So when people say maybe, it's an investigative mind, and that's very good. If it's investigative mind, then those people reach there faster. People who are too sure are the ones who have either experienced it or they know a lot more about it. So that's fantastic. Go on, Deepika.
Okay. So next we come to the nature deficit disorder. So scientific evidence suggests that nature deficit disorder contributes to diminished use of the senses. So when you are spending less time in nature and more time on more screen time, basically, whether it's our mobiles, our gadgets, whether it's the laptops, the television, indoors, like even for the holidays or for the weekends, people are going to movies, again indoors, or to the malls. So this is a time where people experience a lot of disengagement with nature. There's no connection with nature. It is not normal, for the human to be bombarded with so much of information like the way it is today, all the tragedies on social media or the news on COVID and everything. It kind of, though it's great, social media can be very good also, but it's not normal for the human to be getting so much of information the way it is today. When we scroll our phones, we're getting information after information, all sorts of information. And to just kind of take a break from all this, because nature eases out the stress and helps us relax and unwind and think more clearly. So much of information going in, so they need that break to step away, even if it's for 20 minutes a day or on the weekend. Ensure that you take that break out just to connect with yourself, improve your focus and concentration, even while you're working in your office and you kind of feel that, now I need to take a break, or something's just, you feel stuck. It's nice to step out and kind of connect to yourself in nature. It really helps to get that focus back and more clarity. Technostress is explained a little more. The was introduced in 1997, and it refers to the stress humans are experiencing from the increased use of technology. Excessive technology use in link to increase in stress, sleeping disorders, and depressive thinking. So when almost all of our time is being devoted to technology, it is becoming increasingly essential to find the time to unplug.
Don't worry, friends. She's not unplugged yet. She's still plugged in. We'll wait for her to come back. This is going to get more interesting as we go along. So don't leave. Please be here. Ladies and gentlemen, please post your questions for Deepika in the meantime, because when she ends, she's going to ask you to put your questions here, and she'll be able to answer your questions when, after she's given you what she's promised to give you. So thank you for your patience. And, when I was talking to my mother the other day, and it's cold now. It's too cold to walk in the grass early morning. And I said, when the sun is out, then you and I can take a walk in the grass. When we were talking about grounding, and the idea is to walk bare feet on the ground, and then walk softly. You must have seen some of these websites, travel websites. Say, walk slowly in the forest, or tread softly, tread gently, all those terms, taglines which they use. Well, it's all true, because if you go into the yogic world and you understand from some of these yogis, and if you follow the law of karma, it's when you're going through your life cycles of different things, sometimes you're in the form of an insect or any small thing where you have left your body and you're waiting to acquire another one as an energy system. Then that's where you park yourself for the time being. This is where the gardens, the parks, the places where you have grass growing, the forest, these places where it is oozing with energy. You just tread softly. And whether it's true or not, we don't know. But factually, it may not be correct, or may be correct, who cares? But it's such a beautiful thing to do, to tread softly through the jungle and to get grounded. So here, our star is back.
Please, I'm so sorry. I have been dropping off. I have no idea why. I think because the internet is unhappy, I speak about unplugging yourself. It's telling me to get out. So unplug yourself, go out. And yeah, I was talking about phytoncides. So phytoncides is these chemicals which, really help with the natural killer cells. These cells support the immune system. So the more we breathe these aerosols when we are in nature, the white cells, which support the immune system and are linked to lower the risk of cancer or fighting infections, they get boosted. And studies show that an increase in white blood cells help even fight the viruses and infected cells. So it's great to actually be breathing outdoors and taking in all these phytoncides and chemicals which nature or the trees and various plants release into the air. So that's one amazing thing. Now, to begin, simply developing a habit of going out and finding a sit spot. It is a spot in nature to connect, observe, and study life. So it could be anywhere. During the lockdown, I had my sit spot by my neem tree. I was lucky to have my neem tree, and I spent a lot of time, and I made sure that every evening I would be there, and I would watch the birds, which would come by regularly at that certain point of time. And it's lovely to just, cultivate a present moment awareness, a time quiet away from technology, observing the flow of, reality occurring in front of you. So if you all could find a sit spot somewhere near you, even next to your place where you're working, take a stroll or just sit. It is said 20 minutes is good, 20 minutes in a sit spot where you could perhaps just sit and journal, make your affirmations and, reflect on the day and make your goals and plans for the day ahead. So it's lovely to do it in nature. It really supports you. And, sunrise and sunsets are especially magical. So that is by experience that I can say. So that is about the benefits again, it is 2 hours. So Forest Therapy India, we go out for forest bathing walks on the weekend. It's for 2 hours per week, and it's perfect because on a Sunday morning where we all gather and go out for a walk in a park, in somewhere there is nice canopy of trees, and we have fun there. And, it's a great way to, counter all these time to take a break from technology, and, and it really helps with the overall increase of sense of happiness in nature. And it's great, it's beneficial, it's recommended for everybody to do it. And I hope everyone would, try it in their own way. And if not, you can always, join me for one of my walks. If you're in Delhi NCR, or come for a retreat in the Himalayas, it's lovely to be in a real forest as well. And so that's one suggestion that I would have for you. So that was more or less of my presentation on forest therapy. There were small glitches in between, but nevertheless, I hope I got the point across. And let me just check my chat here. It says, Mahendra said it's great therapy, and I personally feel like a part of my life is not there with me since I have not been into a real forest because of this pandemic. I'm really missing it because I've always been there, and now I can't wear it. It is so taking a break and going to Kana on 22nd of my favorite forest. That's wonderful, Mahendra, where I can hug my favorite sal tree, which I used to hug in the time I spent there. Well, the happiest time of my life and lots of learning. That's wonderful. And Dr. Geeta Mathur says, can the sit spot do if it's on my terrace with my potted plants? Absolutely. It can be, even if you have a small balcony, you have just a plant or a couple of plants there. It's lovely. You will observe the different changes in that natural environment day by day. It will give you so much of clarity and, just engaging. Always remember to engage the 5 senses when you're there. It's so important, and just observing nature. People who don't even have, if even you're looking out and you can see a beautiful tree or something in nature, the clouds perhaps, look up at the clouds and just engage the 5 senses and all your feelings. It completely, immediately get you grounded and connected. And if any other questions, then please do type in the chat so I can share more clarity on that.
So Nishant is saying, how did you manage to stay connected with nature during lockdown period? Or when you're not allowed to go out? When you're not allowed to go out, how do you stay connected? is what he's asking.
So yes, so most of us have, we could always step up to the terrace, to the balcony, where you will have some form of access to nature. Like I just said, even if you don't have a garden, perhaps, even just looking out at a tree in a distance, or the birds, the sound of birds, or just looking at the clouds, nature is all around us. And even if you can just adopt a plant and start, watering it and, connecting with it, there is a study I just read about that people in the office, if you have a small plant on your desk also, it really helps with creativity. So these are the small things which really help with, connecting in the lockdown. The lockdown had been I made deep connections during the lockdown, because when the daily routine happens, I was not able to every day go out for my to sit at the sit spot. But the lockdown, I had that time that after around 5:30 and 6, I used to be there at the sit spot, and it was a time when the birds would be returning, and it was amazing to observe nature, and I had just taken that for granted. And I started speaking about it in my webinars to people to go out and do that. I started bird photography, and the numbers of birds species that I found in my tree in my house, I was amazed that that was available there, and I was just ignoring that all this time. So Shalini says, if we walk in a park but have our shoes on, would that be grounding? Well, ideally for grounding, Shalini, you need to have direct connection with the earth. So if you have your shoes on, that's fine. But just try and touch the tree. Like when you're hugging a tree or when you're sitting on the lawn, just put your hands on the grass. So there has to be some kind of a physical contact with the earth. But I have seen people who have also achieved grounding when they have removed the shoes but have the socks on. So that is something also. But yeah, so I believe some form of physical contact, touching even with your hands, or would do the same effect of grounding when you're walking, as like when you're walking with your shoes, you can do that. Strangely, Sabu says, in Pune, although cinema halls and shopping malls are open, our parks forbid children and seniors from entry. Is this because there is no lobby for parks? That's sad. I think parks should be one place where people should have access to, rather than the cinema halls and all where you're in a closed space. So yeah. Anyone else more questions? I will be sharing with you my the ebook as promised, so you can download it.
May I stop the slideshow?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you go ahead. And I know that you've got forest walks going on for people.
Yes.
So do talk about that as well, so that people can join you for your forest walks, either in Pune or in Delhi. You keep flying all over the place, so wherever you are.
Yeah. And I also want to so I'm not able to share the ebook.
I'll share it for you. I'll share it for you.
Okay. So thank you. There has been a few glitches. I dropped out of the webinar a couple of times, but I'm sorry for that. That was out of my control. And everybody, we do have walks on Sunday. Every Sunday, it is at 9 to 11 in the morning. Sometimes it's earlier in the summertime. So anyone who is interested in taking the walks, you can always get in touch through the website. That is foresttherapyindia.com. And if you want to know more about it, you can WhatsApp me. I will send you the catalogs on WhatsApp. And the number for WhatsApp is 971-701-7823. And or you can get in touch with the link shared, which still has just shared on Forest Therapy. And thank you, everybody. Thank you.
There's one more question left, which is by Dr. Mathur. Do plants and soil have the same effect in grounding?
I think the deeper the roots of the plant or the tree is, it has better effects of grounding, because these trees, the roots go right deep into the earth, because we're talking about these negative ions which the earth has. So these trees or the river or the ocean, they get the direct access to these ions which we need for our body. So we need to get those negative ions from the body. So I think plants are great for those microbes. When we play with the mitti, with the earth, and we plant and we put our hands into it, it is so therapeutic. Gardening is so therapeutic. It has its own set of benefits. But I think so, I believe personally that the deeper the roots go into the earth, the effects of grounding are there much more. I think for potted plants, it's more about the benefits of these microbes, which are also so important. So we should let children play in the soil, dig their hands into the ground. We should ourselves do that. It's so healing and it's so much fun and relaxing to do that. So that's from me.
So that brings me to another point, which I just noticed a few days ago. My mother was sitting in the balcony, and then, somehow she broke a glass, out of which she was drinking her tea or water. And then, Shankar came up and said, I have some atta, gundawa atta. So what I'll do is I'll pick up the glass with that atta so that, no splinter is around. And he did that. Then later when I was noticing, I said, oh, what did you do? So he says, well, I use this atta to pick up this broken glass. So I said, what are you going to do about it? So he says, well, I'm going to just chuck it into the corner in the garden. I said, well, that can be very dangerous because, it's atta, it's food. And if there are microorganisms or there's smaller things that will be very careful and will be taking only little bits, that's fine. But what if a cat comes or a squirrel comes or a rat comes or a dog comes, and they will, they will just have glass going into the system. And we don't know if they'll survive or what will happen. So you got to be extremely careful. So I said, well, don't mix the two, Now what you need to do is just dig 3 feet deep inside the earth and then bury it there. We don't know what to do with it. But as a rule, I said, well, we're not going to use atta to pick up broken glass. And if it's broken glass and if it's you're into your grounding thing, walking in the garden, and you have glass sticking into your foot, not going to be a very happy experience. So just a tip from me.
Yes, that's a very important tip. Yes, need to be mindful. I think the mindful while grounding.
Yes, great, and thank you, Deepika. Do you have any offer to give to people here?
Yes, so they can reach out to me on the website, and
I have once again. Tell me
971 701
yes
7823
7823.
Yeah.
Okay, I've posted it. People can copy it in the chat.
Yes. Anyone looking for offers for the walk, please contact me here. I have all your details with me. Those of you who have registered for this webinar, and very special offers for you to experience forest therapy. Please do.
And Dr. Geeta Mathur, you're a botanist. We're really, really happy to see you here. You're most welcome, and keep attending our webinars as we go along because they're mostly eco-centric, and we'll be talking about ecotourism. We'll be talking tomorrow. Mike and I will go online and we talk about the birds of Chambal, Ranthambore, and Bharatpur and regions around Delhi. Day after tomorrow, Masaru Takayama from Japan will be with me talking about the concepts, the deep-rooted science of ecotourism as we go along. So, and then next week we'll have more webinars coming up. This is our mission. This is also Deepika's mission to make people more aware about nature and nature conservation and the effects of nature. May I tell you a story about Thapa, if you allow me to?
Yes, which one?
So one day, Deepika was very sad. So I said, "Why are you so sad?" She says, "Nothing. I was, for months together, I've been seeing this beautiful, vine growing on the terrace, and I was, it was giving me shade, and it was like peak summer, and it was just sort of taking over the entire terrace, you know, and I was loving it. And one morning I went there and I saw Thapa had chopped it. And he said, Thapa, why did you do that? He said, because Thapa said, "Aise ganda lagta hai. You know, it's coming all over, you know." And he just chopped it. He says, it took me months to make it grow. And I was looking forward to this time. And Thapa just chopped it. So that's Thapa's equation, you know. And then, yeah, but Deepika is Deepika. In no time, she was laughing again. So, so, so okay, yes, absolutely, Susan. We'll be able to send out the ebook to your IndianWildlifeClub.com as well. But yeah, no problem whatsoever. Fareen, can you just please make a note of it, and we'll send out the ebook to Susan as well. Great. Thank you, friends. And if you've got any questions, do email Deepika directly. You will get an email of replay link tomorrow evening on your email. So keep a lookout, and please feel free to share with as many people as possible. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.